horrible that he had to have his legs amputated. And all respect to him. This is the first thing I see from a new wrestling fan. The announcer is talking about how great this is, that everybody gets a chance. If this guy's lifelong dream was to play in the NFL, would they put him in a fucking game? If he was the biggest basketball fan in the world, would the NBA let him go out there and pass the ball in a game? If it's not right there, then it's not right here for the business and for this guy. And then MJF, of course, who was the star of this fucking fiasco, immediately goes over and starts stomping a mud hole in the legless guy. So MJF is he's a fucking genius.
He's the best heel in wrestling.
Yeah, he's one of the best everythings in wrestling, as we'll talk about more. I keep saying that, but first, I can't get over this. So, and then after they stomped him, the guy just spent most of his time laying there, and then later, well, hold on, we'll get to that. But then Sunny Days is a guy that's painted yellow. So when we figured that out, then the Michael Nakazawa, the guy gets a weight lock on him, and he comes out of his tights with a bottle of baby oil and pours it all over himself and gets slick and slips out of the hole. And then he keeps pouring the oil on himself because that's his thing. And the legless guy lays there, and Cutler and MJF were doing some okay stuff, but I don't know what the fuck. Then the Diamonds were supposedly next, but it ground to a halt because they had some mishap or something. But then Brian Pillman Jr. and some other guy came out, and Pillman tossed him off the ramp into the fucking crowd. I don't know what the fuck. And then Jimmy Havoc and Joey Janela, there's a pair, jump Brian and suplex him on the fucking ramp. And then Shawn Spears comes out. And then MJF and Spears do some good shit, and the legless guy is still laying there, but along with everybody else, because they would just all lay there and sell something for an inordinate period of time while two guys would do spots in the ring where they wouldn't have to fall on anybody. And it didn't make any fucking sense. And also, by the way, folks, this Battle Royal, the winner of this Battle Royal will fight in the future for the brand new first time ever AEW championship. So already we've been expected to believe that a legless man, a fucking guy painted yellow, a goddamn where was the other one? The guy with the baby oil. All these people could possibly be fighting for the most prestigious thing that this company could bestow on one of its talents, its World Heavyweight Championship. Here come the Hearts. And that's later, not the Hart family, but the Hart suit. Billy Gunn, Glacier, Ray Lloyd, Jungle Boy, Mark somebody, and Ace Romero. And MJF and Glacier got in the center of the ring and did decent shit. But everybody else then just goes to the sides. And I know, once again, that's a lot of battle royals, but this is a battle royal with a lot of green fucking people in it. And then there's Billy Gunn working hard, trying to do, whatever he can do. They did a bunch of outlaw battle royal shit, and then somehow Janela is sitting in the ring. This is that fucking idiot that just does stupid shit for attention. Janela's sitting in the ring, lights a cigarette in the middle of the match, but then somehow, and we missed this, thank goodness, they didn't get this on camera. Because they would have turned more people off. Jimmy Havoc staples the cigarette to Janela's forehead with his staple gun. Because now it's also legal to have a staple gun in this fucking match. With the winner going for the AEW championship. This is so outlaw. It's so bullshit. People used to, at least even watching the WWF, if they're used to silly, this is still just so outlaw and distasteful. Then here come the fucking Spades, which is Luchasaurus, which is a guy in a dinosaur mask, Marco Stunt. The fucking little kid that broke his leg is back already, and they're letting him wrestle again. He's going to get fucking killed. And this guy, now that I've seen him for more than a couple of second clip, can't be 5 feet tall and can't be 100 pounds. It's fucking embarrassing. Then here comes Sonny Kiss, who apparently got off his day job at the drag show at the fucking Tropicana. And I don't know, but see, they're not explaining any of this. Marco Stunt. Why is this small child competing in this match with the legless guy and the 400-pound man and all this other, and the guy with the dinosaur mask, and then with the transvestite or exotico, as they would say at AAA? Did anybody bother to explain why he looks like that? No, they just accepted that. Here's another member of our roster. No reason to. Nothing to look at here, folks. A new view, and then here comes Tommy Dreamer. And Tommy Dreamer and Billy Gunn, the people that we know could be used to get people we don't know over, and I assume that's why they're there, and Billy Gunn's hired as an agent, and I even wrote Billy Gunn was trying hard. MJF stole every scene, every time he could capitalize on somebody else's damage that they did and try to get a pin or get an elimination or whatever he did. He was great in everything. Somehow, in the middle of this complete hogwash match, one of the worst outlaw matches ever broadcast around the world, MJF, because of his personality, because of his quick thinking, because it's him saying and doing these things, he doesn't have a writer. He made it work for him. He got heat in this match. Everybody else came out looking like complete, utter shit. Both the people that were shit and the people that tried to make the shit not look like shit. But MJF got over. He's a fucking magician. Anyway, Dreamer comes in with the garbage can and he nails everybody with the lid, and everybody's just laying there again so that they can fucking have the wild card entrance. And here comes Adam Page. And the only... Adam Page was with Ring of Honor back in 2010 and 11. I knew this kid, he was back 19 back then or whatever. And I knew he was going to be great. He was a great worker then. He's gained a little size. Unless it's storyline, he was selling his knee. Is he really injured, or was that... They talked about something that somebody done to him the previous week, but was he really hurt?
I actually don't know. I didn't even get to see the Battle Royal because I was still trying to figure out how to buy the fucking pay-per-view for $50, which is a rip-off price for a brand new product, but I didn't see it, so I actually don't know.
Okay, see, I thought you were just letting me roll on this. If you didn't see this, everything, if I'm lying, I'm flying, and my feet ain't left the ground, everything I'm saying is true. This is exactly what happened. But Page had his knee taped up, and he was selling real good all night. So, and I hope that it's not serious because, you know, he is one of their potential superstars, but he cleans house. When he hits the ring, he goes and nails everybody, and everybody takes a bump for him, and the only bump that the crowd popped for, guess who? MJF, you are correct. And then suddenly Paige and Janela get together and they have a bad hockey fight because Janela physically looks like shit. He's one of these fucking guys. I mean, he's pale, fishy white, fucking no tone, no fucking definition, lumpy. Paige hits him with some kind of wild-ass fucking finish. I don't know what he called it. Then there was more outlaw shit. Here's Marco Stunt. Once again, the announcers. The one that's scared to death and the one that's obviously a fucking clown because he's got a mask on and calls himself Excalibur. So, and we've never heard of him, so it's not like it's Mil Mascaras in Mexico doing the fucking commentary. They're not telling me why that this small child is being allowed to compete as a professional fighter. Marvez plugged the ways that you could get the pay-per-view. It sounded like Patty Hearst reading a statement from the Symbionese Liberation Army.
I wish the SLA would take Alex Marvez.
Then the legless guy, I swear, gave Janela a 619 and then got up on the top rope and splashed him off the top rope. And then the legless guy eliminated Shawn Spears. Then MJF dumped the legless guy. So at least it ended well because MJF got some more fucking heat. But once again, obviously, I don't know. And I'm hoping they haven't signed him to some exclusive deal because I love MJF and MLW. And he's going to be there coming up this weekend. and I want to be around him more often. But they obviously know what kind of talent he is, because unless he just said, fuck it, I mean, some of this stuff required obvious setup beforehand, so they had to be featuring MJF. But I don't think anybody could have known that he'd get over like this in the middle of this fucking scrambled egg bunch of bullshit. Then Luchasaurus chokeslammed Janela over the top rope through a table at ringside. And of course everybody, oh wow, that's so fucking great, wow. Brian, this table was sitting at ringside. Nobody was sitting at it. There were no chairs at it. There's no monitors on it. It was right in the middle of the ring, not in any of the corners. It was just there so the guy could get chokeslammed through it. What the fuck? So anyway, then Tommy Dreamer is in with Sonny Kiss. Sonny Kiss did the old, imagine an upside down Bobo Brazil, where Bobo used to get in the turnbuckle and lift his legs and put them on the guy's shoulders and head scissor him that way. Sonny Kiss was upside down doing a push-up on the top turnbuckle with the guy's legs, or his legs around around Dreamer's neck. And he starts bringing his legs in and running Tommy Dreamer's face into his fucking ass. And Tommy's going, and Tommy Dreamer is like Mick Foley. He is way too fucking nice. And he wants to help these fucking guys get over, even when he is helping guys that have in no way deserved to get over or have a prayer of getting over, get over with this bullshit. Which you'll find out in a minute. After Sonny Kiss does that to poor Tommy Dreamer, then some clown named Orange Cassidy gets in. I didn't even see where he came into this fucking thing, right? He just appeared somehow. I don't think he was announced. But they said his name's Orange Cassidy when he gets in the ring. He's wearing blue jeans and no shirt. He might weigh 150 pounds, fishy white. He looks like one of these fucking skateboard fucks that you see on these stupid videos on Ridiculousness, right? He gets in Dreamer's face with his hands in his pockets of his jeans, and he starts just kind of lightly play kicking Dreamer's legs over and over. And so Dreamer hauls off and fucking decks him. The guy takes the bump, keeps his hands in his pockets, and then nips up with his hands in his pockets. And then Dreamer throws him over the top rope. So now Tommy Dreamer's a fake, phony, outlaw piece of shit because he was willing to sacrifice his credibility to cooperate with this fucking clown that did nothing and just made the whole match fucking phony and bullshit. Because you can tell some of the fans knew who this guy was that were there live, right? So that means apparently he's a fucking thing. And this is what I was worried about, is these guys signing their friends instead of people that have a prayer of getting over in a major league level, on a mainstream basis, and it dragging. And this guy's spending a lot of fucking money, and he's being ill-served in a fiduciary sense so far by somebody. Then
he knows what he's into.
Well, then it's his fault. Havoc staple guns Dreamer in the nuts and tosses him out. And then a bunch of people gang up on MJF, but he rolls out of the ring underneath. Basically, Excalibur is as phony up at this point as Alex Marvez is bland. Adam Page dumps the Luchasaurus. MJF comes back in and dumps Page, but Page holds on, flips back in, and hits a big lariat, which was the best spot of the fucking match, and clotheslines MJF out. And that, the last 30 seconds, basically, once it got down to Page to MJF, it was great. It looked like two guys knew what they were doing, brought the roof off. MJF and Page got over in the middle of the most embarrassing thing that I've ever seen in a fucking wrestling ring. Fuck everybody that had anything to do with putting that fucking thing together or executing it, because you all set wrestling back 50 fucking years. And poor ref Paul Turner from Ring of Honor, I hope they're paying him a fortune. I'm disappointed in Tommy Dreamer and Billy Gunn just for lending his presence to that. They did crowd shots. There were absolutely no children in the whole building and no adults over 35.
I will say one thing, Jim, that I noticed later on in the show, because you brought up the production earlier. I was wondering if the crowd was quiet at times or not. I talked to people in the building who said the crowd was super into everything, and you wouldn't know it at all times. I don't think they did a good job of miking the crowd.
Well, I saw them a lot of times when they were super into everything while they were sitting there very still. So,
okay.
I'm just running through my notes here because it's 7:30 now. The announcing continues to suck. There's more billboards for matches. They tossed to Justin Roberts, even though they're not going to him. They do a bad switch. Then there's frozen video. Then no, we're going backstage. So, to Alicia Atout with Smiley Kylie Ray, who is a girl who comes in like she's fucking overly happy. I think this must be like a Road Warrior, Demolition, Bailey, and Smiley Kylie, because they're all happy. Bootleg Bailey.
Because even if she did it first, when you see her there, that's the only thing you can think of. You've seen Bailey. This is a rip-off of Bailey.
But it got a little fucking old real quick. But then here comes someone who was announced as Peter Avalon, the librarian, who shushes them and then gets shushed by Leva Bates, the librarian, and then they shush at each other a bunch. And of course the people in the building are going wild over this, like anybody would know what the fuck is going on. And Marvez actually says, this is a quote, "This is the problem when you have two librarians." Then announcers feel awkwardly. Then a very well done Cody and Dustin package. Both guys did a great job. It was serious. It was edited well. It's a tale of two shows here. Here comes Sammy Guevara with a panda bear head on versus Kip Sabian. Both guys are 180 pounds. There's a female referee, which is fine, but not for guys' matches. Unless you can find one like fucking Donna Daring, like I had in OVW, where she was as big as the guys and could whip half of them. But
explain that, because people are going to jump on that. When you say not for the guys' matches, why exactly?
Well, because it's a phony show anyway because of the previous Battle Royal we've seen, but would you see it in the UFC? Would you see it in boxing? If it's so dangerous to be near this violent fight that's going on between these two, between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, would a 130-pound woman have been the referee getting in there in the clinches and mixing it up? It doesn't look right visually. It indicates that woman is not worried about getting a stray fucking shot in the face. So apparently this is not as dangerous as it's supposed to look, in my opinion. I'm not, But anyway, the announcers in this match are saying pinfalls and wins and losses are going to matter here. Like, why wouldn't they? You're talking to the fucking newsletters and the fucking websites. Why wouldn't? That doesn't make any sense. If you win, it would obviously be better than if you lose. They're talking smart. The announcers are using fan terms like, this guy works different shows. This was a nice athletic high spot match, but I don't know anybody could have taken this as a contest. It was guys putting on a performance. These are two guys that if they had a little bit better size and you had them in the OVW program or something for a year or so, or I had them, maybe not now, but I'm just speaking for me, to get rid of bad habits and get them focused, you would have something. But right now they're copying shit that they've seen on outlaw shows. There was one guy vertical suplex the other guy over the top rope, and they both took the bump, ass over tea kettle over the top rope, and landed on their feet, and then the guy held on and snap suplexed the guy on the floor. So they took a little pissy bump that really hurt, instead of just taking a bump from the one where they obviously did it perfectly and not landing on their feet, and people would, it's just shit like that. And the one guy did a shooting star press off the apron to the other guy on the railing outside, then missed a flip, and the other guy hit his finish and won. So 4 hospitalization angles in the last 4 moves. They did a video on a girl named Sadie Gibbs. It was great stuff, shot and produced well. I'd like to see more of this young lady. Seems like the videos are having that effect, just the live shit. Then listen, we come back to arena shots and they do a bad introduction of Jim Ross.
I saw this. Now, by this point in time, I was watching.
Okay. And his music starts and you see JR walking in an empty backstage area, and then he doesn't come into the arena. for the people, for the pop. They pitched to it, and he was walking backstage. They were playing music, and he never came out on the air. Instead, they go to a truck with Cody and Brandy and their dog pulling up. And Omega shows up making goofy faces and walking around the corner. And then Mike Jackson. He wishes he was Mike Jackson. Matt Jackson acts goofy meeting Nakazawa. And then Nick walks in, and they come up on a backstage personnel guy with papers in his hand, and they super kick him. So,
this is exactly what wrestling fans have been clamoring for. More backstage goofy segments. If the WWE did some of the things that the Young Bucks do, they would get killed. But because it's them, they get away with it.
Well, no, it's not to get killed.
Silly, stupid shit.
Yes.
No more backstage segments. Anyone who's starting a wrestling company, enough. I don't need to see anything in the locker room or backstage unless it's a brawl or something.
But listen, what they have done here is in their first show for no reason, just to giggle their fans, instead of the new fans that are wondering what the fuck's going on here, they've wasted an angle. If you fucking hit a backstage employee, a security person, or a goddamn a fucking production crew member or whatever, then you can tie that in. Vader or Brock Lesnar or somebody's running roughshod and somebody got hurt. The police have been called. Maybe there's a lawsuit going to go on. Whatever the fuck. Or we can just make it obviously phony and mean nothing and just get it out of the way, which is what they did. Because that's... Then they played a video of everybody as video game characters. Kenny and Matt and Nick, and they're on the video game screen. It's so fucking childish. Then here comes Omega and Cody and the Bucks and Brandy on stage, and they try to welcome everybody. Of course, Omega gets to be the one who does it and calls it a show. Welcome to the show. Kenny Omega, I'm going to go on record, talks like a complete douchebag. I read an interview in Fighting Spirit magazine last month, and I figured this is a guy I would never want to be trapped in a conversation with. He talks about wrestling and his wrestling like, instead of being a professional fighter simulating combat, like he's goddamn Laurence Olivier on the stage at the Hammersmith Odeon, and he's fucking emoting. He sounds like a complete douchebag, and he's got that whiny little pussy-ass voice that I couldn't possibly take him seriously if he ever was to get mad, which he never seems to, because it's all a performance with him instead of goddamn whatever the fuck. But anyway.
Pretentious.
Unfunny, there you go. Unfunny, happy talk. And then Brandy said, the first sensory inclusive event in wrestling history. She is trying to tell people that everybody involved in this event had their senses about them? Because the Battle Royals already proved her wrong. I don't know what that even means. And then at 8 p.m., they got to go on pay-per-view, and they faded to black while the guys, Cody was still talking. Because nobody gave him, I don't know what the fuck, nobody gave him a cue. Anyway, they have the national anthem by somebody named Chris Jackson, who's not Mike Jackson or Matt Jackson, or I don't even think he's related. I don't know if he's related to the Jacksons or the Jackson 5. The open video had great graphics and etc. And then here is, they open with Jim Ross, who they paid a fortune for, who's the most respected announcer in the game, who was the voice of Monday Night for so many years, and he's next to a guy who's never done a broadcast before at an outlaw wrestler in a mask. So instead of being able to bring his partners up because they have half of something to them to begin with, as he usually does, in a number of cases here, his partners were bringing JR down, especially when he would pitch them something like, explain this new rule to us, whichever one, and they would then fucking emit a word salad that sounded like Donald Trump having a series of small strokes.
Or Marvez would whisper.
Or yes, he'd do the golf commentary. So then here comes SCU, Chris Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky. And they're going to wrestle the Strong Hearts, who are the team from OWE, the Chinese team, but apparently they're Japanese. More on this in a minute. Daniels had a microphone and a stand. They insulted the town and the people cheered, so I assume that this is a gimmick they've been doing, because I haven't watched them either here lately. But they each talked, and the fans, Frankie got the fans to say SCU, so they're liking them. I'm not sure that the OWE team ever tried to be the straight-up heels, but it was... Anyway, the Chinese or Japanese team, apparently they're the Japanese trainers of Chinese wrestlers in OWE, which is in fucking China. This is confusing, but the Chinese look good. These guys are all athletes. The in-ring picked way up suddenly. They're all so good, so smooth. The shit made more sense. It was fast, it was precise. SC, I've always been a fan of Daniels. I like Frankie Kazarian. I've just praised Daniels because he's been around longer, but Frankie's great. First time I'd seen Scorpio Sky, and he's fucking tremendous. Little things, they did simultaneous tags, so they were cold, and then they all traded the big move like that everybody does in these matches, but but still it was good stuff. It was a lot to follow, and it went on for a while, and then everybody dove everywhere. But Daniels and Frankie finally hit a moonsault tombstone for the win. It would be the goddamn win, but it's too much, but they did it at a high level, and they were all serious about it. So that couldn't have been the first fucking match we see out of this promotion, but instead we get the legless guy and the fucking drag queen from the Tropicana.
Hey, I want to say one thing, Jim, because I have been critical on various shows the last several years of Jim Ross's work, of his professionalism. I have to say, this is, I think, the best he has done in years. You could tell he was motivated. You could tell he was into it. I wish at times that maybe, at least one of the guys next to him was as well. But, I've been critical of him when I think that he has done a poor job. I want to say when I think he's done a really good job. He did a really good job here.
Well, and I will pick at a couple of things here in a minute that I don't believe was his fault, but I'll agree with you when he had something that he could look at, that he could praise with a full-throated endorsement. But you also didn't hear him and me and Alex Shane at the What Culture?
Wrestlelicious.
No, not Wrestling. The What Culture wrestling pay-per-view we did 2 years ago in England. That was we both fired on all cylinders. That was my bucket list. Do one more show with JR, and we did that. Anyway, all three of the announcers are now joined by Allie, the girl from TNA, for color, because it's a triple threat match. Kylie Rae, Nyla Rose, and Dr. Britt Baker. But they bring Allie in for color, and obviously they have not produced her and told her what to say, or elsewise this was the best she could do, folks. In which case, don't ever put a microphone. Allie's exact quote about Kylie Rae: "Look at how happy she is. My eyes watered. I'm so happy for her." What the fuck?
Can I add one more thing I want to add, because now we're talking about a four-man booth. Four-person.
Four-person booth.
The worst thing, one of the worst things to happen to wrestling is the three-man booth. It is so unnecessary, and it's almost always garbage. Two-man booth is good, and in some cases, one man. That's all you need. But let's go with two-man. You don't need a three-man booth for any situation in professional wrestling unless somehow the lead heel or the lead babyface is sitting down to talk about their opponent in the ring, and Boyd Pierce shuts up for a little while. And you don't need a three-man booth, and no one should ever do one again.
And I agree with you. And Norma, and also now I just did one for the Crockett Cup, but Ian Riccaboni and Joe Galley. But we kind of made it work because everybody kind of praised it. So, and also we knew when to get in and get out. But here JR says to Allie, says, "How do you prepare for Nyla Rose?" She said, "Oh my God, I'm not sure." So what the fuck? Somehow this announcing just got worse. Then Brandy comes out with a microphone and says she wants an awesome match and introduces Awesome Kong and makes it a four-way, and the place blows because Kong is a star. And now here's how they fuck this up from a creative standpoint. You've got Kylie Rae and you've got obviously Dr. Britt Baker. They want, I believe, to make a main girl on this girls roster, right?
Yes, definitely.
Nyla Rose, it looks like a beast. She's huge and she's powerful and she has this surly look. She would be Awesome Kong, except that Awesome Kong's in the fucking ring. And so they bring out Kong. She shrugs off the little ones. She nails Nyla Rose to the floor, misses a splash, and goes over the top, and she's gone. She's immobilized Kong, or she's been immobilized for some time now, because now here comes Britt Baker and fucking Kylie Rae just doing spots. both of the beasts, the monster heels in the match, have been immobilized, especially the monster that's a star, that's a surprise, that was over. Nyla Rose should have been in this. She has potential. She should have been saved, or saved Kong against Nyla Rose for a money match sometime. The other girls were doing too much stuff. Kong was missing. They killed her Impact. Then she finally gets in for a big triple Zabada move, but then the two little girls super kick Kong, and Rose spears her into the steps, and now Nyla Rose is out and Kong's out for the rest of the match. And boom, and then the Baker and Callie Ray have more match, and then Baker wins, and neither Nyla Rose or Kong is nowhere to be seen. They could have had a singles match between Britt Baker and Callie Ray and got Britt Baker over. Or they could have had the three-way with the original girls, and some way or another had the two girls team up on the monster to subdue her until Britt could have got the win. Or they could have brought Kong out against anybody except Nyla Rose and smashed her over, because if she's going to come back. But this just, it wasted Kong. It didn't do anything for Nyla Rose, and Britt Baker got over like she would have if she'd have just beat anybody one-on-one. What the fuck? Anyway, let's pick this up. This is going to take a while. The next match, the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, take on Angelico and Jack Evans. You can imagine what I'm going to think about this, especially after seeing guys that really know what they're fucking doing. Jack Evans from Ring of Honor 15 years ago, he was sloppy and reckless. He physically looks like shit. He breakdances and skateboards, and he looks like it. He might weigh 150 fucking pounds, but now he's old and has weird hair, strange elbow pads, and goofy looking shorts. And he flips all over the place, and it means nothing, and it's just a goddamn show. Trent Beretta's a good looking athlete. Chuck Taylor is the invisible hand grenade guy, so I'll pretend he's not here. He's physically dumpy. He has a stupid haircut. He looks like a goddamn guy that ought to be working at a fucking Kroger bagging instead of an athlete. And Angelico is in fluorescent lime green with no mask, so he's a white guy, but he's Angelico or whatever the fuck. But he's a white guy. I don't fucking know. Bunch of flips and kicks. Beretta's the only one of the four, I'm reading my notes now, that I would have even put on OVW TV. He took a great Ray Stevens bump. The fucking hand grenade guy got in the way of this thing for quite a while and kept me from seeing Beretta. And the match went back and forth and made no sense. Then, in the middle of the match, they go to hug each other. And the people pop because, once again, this crowd knows what the fuck. They've come from every corner of the world to see this. And they know, but they didn't explain why the fuck that they are best friends, or why the fuck they hug, or why the people are cheering that they're hugging. It's just more phony bullshit. Then the whole match comes to a dead stop. Then Jack Evans and Angelico do a bunch of shit. This is taking forever. Evans did a big dive and missed the guy, but came right back in and 650 splashed Beretta. Just a mess. These guys hit about 5 double teams and won. Taylor and Beretta.
I didn't like this at all. I hated this.
Beretta needs to dump Dumpy and be a single. He's got something, and the other two guys, Evans and Angelico, need to cosplay elsewhere. And then but okay, now here, coming up, and you can give your thoughts on the whole match, but let's go all the way to the end. Then they all four hug each other after they've beaten each other up for the past 20 minutes. And then the lights go out, and when the lights come back on, two guys in the ring nobody recognizes. And then the lights go off again, and then the lights come back on, and there's a bunch of masked guys around the ring that pull the two teams that just wrestled out and kick the shit out of them, while the guys and the people are chanting, "Who are you?" at these two guys in the ring, and JR is verbally eye-rolling. I can tell when JR verbally eye-rolls. What was that?
First of all, remember a little earlier I said that one of the worst things in wrestling is the three-man announce booth? I also said that I hate the backstage segments. That's another thing wrestling should dump. One of the other things on that list is the lazy booking crutch of, let's turn out the lights and then turn them back on, and whoop, Sabu's in the ring. Like, that is the laziest booking bullshit. Because what are you supposed to believe? The lighting man is in cahoots?
Well, yeah,
with the weirdos in the ring?
But besides that, who were the people in the fucking ring?
Apparently, they are a team known, and not for long, because Nintendo will definitely shut this down, as the Super Smash Brothers.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I don't know these guys. You know these guys?
Oh, my God. They used to do jobs on Ring of Honor television when it was on HDNet because they kept booking them because they'd drive down from Montreal for cheap and Steen liked them. Remember I told a story on the drive-thru one time. I saw the one without his mask. One guy was masked and one guy wasn't, and they're video game characters, and they did all flippy shit and made no sense. And I saw one guy without his mask on and thought he was the guy working in the concession stand at the building, because it was just and people. That's before the Young Bucks. Back in 2011 and 10, people on the internet were saying the Super Smash Brothers are the greatest tag team in wrestling. And the first thing I did when I got any pull at all was to get them off the fucking television program because it was embarrassing. So, okay, well, there you go.
They're back.
Okay, All Out. The next big event is announced, and in the on-camera, Marvez fumbled the ticket on sale date, and I just fumbled that. But he got the wrong date for the tickets to go on sale. Then we had a Japanese 6-girl tag match, and I was running late because I was pausing to fucking write so much of this down, so this was a good place to catch up. And 15 minutes later, the first team that came out won. Oh, baby, I need to get Harley her allergy medicine. She's got the hacks today. So then on camera with the announcers obviously filling with nothing to say. And this is where even JR was lost and had no idea where they were going and had to say, oh, I don't know where I'm going here, guys. The production from a technical standpoint was so good, I have to think that that's people in their ear telling them something's not ready, talent's not in position, the VTR isn't queued up. Phil, we don't know what we're going to do, right? Because they don't usually come out and say, we don't know where we're going. But they started talking about Cody and Dustin, and they played the Cody and Dustin package from earlier. On Cody's entrance, minor glitch, the camera pointed to the wrong tunnel because they had babyface and heel tunnels, and that was a good touch. And he had the big chair, and he's got the robe that looks like Sgt. Pepper, and the sledgehammer. I guess he hit the chair with the sledgehammer, and it blew up, and that was a shot at Triple H. Triple H, because, I don't watch a lot of these pay-per-views. Triple H do Thrones a lot.
Well, he did, I think, at WrestleMania, and obviously the sledgehammer's his thing, and from what I heard, it was supposed to be a much bigger, he hits it and the whole thing crumbles, and it didn't happen, but you can't really complain about the pettiness and childishness of the WWE and then do the same thing. Because that's what it came across as to me, at least. I know a lot of people there pop because, hey, he's taking on Triple H. But by the way, if you have a problem with them, Triple H isn't the problem. It's the old man.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but also, honestly, I was just happy that the sledgehammer wasn't something he was going to use in the match. I'm like, oh, no, not this again. But anyway, business, as they say, is about to pick up. Dustin made his entrance. That wild outfit and face paint, he looks in great shape. And then they had the people eating out of their hands. They took their time. They didn't fucking run off and leave them. And folks, 2 brothers, both of them from different generations. The sons of a legitimate superstar that always wanted to live up to their father's expectations. It never quite happened for Dustin that he would be the top guy. Now in this world, Cody is being portrayed as the top guy. And that's a story. You can believe it. Plus, both guys know how to work. And the people were eating out of their hand. They came to like everything, but they really liked this, and they liked it because it worked. They worked. They had a nice heat spot with Brandy throwing the water in Dustin's eyes. The little handoff of the water bottle from Cody a minute beforehand. Marvez, I wrote, Marvez killing me here, doing bad golf announcing with a gee-whiz accent. Excalibur wouldn't be rotten with a real name and no mask, I wrote down. They did that turnbuckle spot that was kind of awkward, but Brandy spearing Dustin woke him up, and she hit him with a hell of a spear, and somebody's, well, okay, it's a little girl hitting. Well, he turns around, he's been beat up, he turns around disoriented, and somebody clocks him. It didn't fucking... It was a nice little spot. And then obviously that was made for Hebner to kick her out, and the people went ballistic, and that got DDP in there to carry her out, and that was another fucking deal. And then here, Dustin got the color while everybody was distracted and sold great, being disoriented, and all of a sudden they're having a pro wrestling match. He's pouring blood. Here's the drama. He's fighting from underneath. The crowd is with him. They actually got a figure four and turned it over, and the people blew. Dustin whipping Cody with his own fucking belt. The people are standing up now. They nearly died on the top rope superplex, but they did great false finishes where people could buy it. The people were going ape shit. They traded those shots. Cody finally hits the fucking big move in the Crossroads. And afterwards, people are fucking going nuts about it. Everybody was saying it was the best match of Dustin Rhodes' career. It may have been. He probably had better matches technically as Goldust. I always thought Dustin was a hell of a worker. He was a natural. I never liked the gimmick because that was the first Goldust, because that was the first of Shit-Stain's fucking showbiz bullshit that he managed to foist in. And it just did, but anyway, Dustin's always been able to do it, and I thought Cody hung with him great here. And then the promo afterwards, where they played off of the promo that everybody remembers Dusty and Dustin doing. Asked Dustin to be his partner against the Bucks in Jacksonville, and I need my older brother. And this was the way that you hug after a wrestling match. Not fucking sissy-ass fucking goofy, silly best friends. Is it two nerds that don't even have the balls to be gay hugging? It was the way that Beretta and fucking Dicklick came off, but this was a hug from two guys that have reconciled after beating the shit out of each other. This was a pro wrestling match. What'd you think?
I thought it was the best match I've ever seen Cody have, because I'm not a fan of Cody as a worker, as you seem to be.
Well, actually, it's the best. I've seen 3 Cody matches. This was the best one, so there you go.
Usually, to me, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors to hide what he can't do in the ring. I thought this was the best Cody match I've ever seen. I think Dustin Rhodes is like a fine wine, because I've been watching him since 1990. He gets better with age, and he's so good. I sincerely hope that his body is well enough that he doesn't have to retire and that he can work somewhat semi-regularly for AEW, because he would be a tremendous asset in the ring beyond whatever asset he would be backstage. I'm a big fan of Dustin Rhodes, and I think he did tremendous here. In terms of the post-match thing, I think it was obviously great for that room. I mean, that room was going to pop for everything. They were chanting AEW before anything even happened on the fucking show. But to me, in the overall context of things, I just saw this promotional package. Dustin should have said, fuck you. You need a brother now? Now you need a brother? I actually thought, I put on Twitter, and some people got upset. I said he should have done a swerve and said, I got news for you, I'm Dick Murdoch's son, and walk out of the room. But you know, that was the only thing I didn't like, was just the idea that they so quickly made up and they're brothers and they're going to move on.
It didn't take a year like it did with Ole and Dusty to convince Dusty to be his partner.
It took, what, 2 months since he got released from the WWE? That's how long the whole feud went. I thought that was disappointing, but beyond that, I thought this is the best Cody Rhodes match I've ever seen. I think Dustin is tremendous in the ring, and I think the biggest detriment I could say is that when you see something like that, and it's hard to see that and not think of it as a massive positive, what hurts it is the fact that you've had goofy shit on this show. Yeah. Because then the show is schizophrenic.
Well, that's the thing, is the goofs being on here diminished what these guys did, because we've already been conditioned in our brains to not take this too seriously, because it's kind of an out. So all of a sudden, you know, we're surprised as something so good is broken out on an outlaw show. But I get where you're going with that. But it was that match and whole deal would have been in place in a Jim Crockett Promotions show in the 80s or any of the great territories. It was wrestling, and that's timeless. So, but then we go to the on-camera where they're going to recap the Battle Royal and Adam Page's win, and I wrote Excalibur stumbled through this like a drunken sailor. They were just, because they were trying to live VO it. Marvez stumbled into an introduction of somebody named Jack Whitehall, who introduced Bret Hart to bring the AEW belt out, who I guess was replacing Flair because of Flair's health issues.
And by the way, apparently this Jack Whitehall is a comedian or a performer in England. because I immediately put on Twitter, why wasn't this guy ring announcing all night? Because I'm not a Justin Roberts fan. I think he's just not a good ring announcer. And
it was a little much.
And I haven't heard anyone clamoring for Justin Roberts to return since he was fired from WWE, so it's questionable. I think he was friends with some people there, so he got a job there.
Well, he's a nice guy. I've met him.
I'm not
he's
saying
a very
anything
nice
about
guy.
him as a person, and that's one of the sad things. Whenever you say anything that's a critical point about anyone in AEW, they'll just jump on you to the point where you have to preface it by saying, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a great person. But I saw this guy introduce Bret Hart, and I said, that guy should have been ring announcing all night. That was energy. That felt real.